Hello, hello. Welcome to the session. We'll start in, I think, maybe a minute or two. Waiting for people to join here. Hope you all had a good day so far. I'm here in Malmö at our HQ, at Elitive's HQ. Maybe can people maybe share where you are located? Let's see who's the furthest away from Malmö. Do we have any contenders? UK. Oh, great. Ludvika. Oh, that's nice, Anna. We have Germany, we have Copenhagen. That's not too far, Copenhagen, though, but very welcome anyway. Her. That's good. Hi, Tim. That's amazing. All right, and this is the final session for today, so hope the energy is still high out there. All right, maybe I get going, right? Yep. All right. I actually wanted to start by asking all of you to take just one moment and think about a team, a company, or maybe even a fellowship that you've been a part of where engagement was really, really high. You know, people were going their extra mile. They were pushing until the end, and might have been a few discussions and opinions, but ultimately everyone moved in the same direction, and probably you achieved your goals as well. Maybe you can relate to that, hopefully. And now think about the opposite, a team where you've been a part of where engagement was just missing. The culture felt a little bit unhealthy. People were pulling in different directions and the results weren't there. And then if we take these two examples and say that everything else is similar, it's the same time period, it's the same other situation, but the engagement is different. What would you say is the difference in pure performance in those teams? Is it 20%, maybe 30, maybe 50? I don't know, but this is exactly why I think people engagement is so interesting, because it's so much more than just sending a survey, right? It's about understanding, analyzing the results, and then actively working on it. And research shows that if you have a difference between high engagement and low engagement, the high engaged teams actually see about 20% higher productivity. You can have about 37%, something like that, less absenteeism, and you have about 60% lower employee turnover. So there's definitely a big connection with business KPIs and engagement. So it's so much more than just a HR KPI. And this is what I think makes it so interesting to work with this. I'm Anders. I'm, besides being a big Lord of the Rings fan, I'm also leading the revenue team here at Eletive. And we have about 40 people in my organization. So working with engagement is something that's also vital for my day-to-day and a big passion of mine. And one of the most common feedback that we actually get from this session every year now is, well, what is it that you do at Eletive? So in this session, I will present a little bit more about Eletive and what we help our customers with, and also give you a little bit of sneak peek into our product. So if you're passionate about people engagement, this is the session for you. And feel free to use the chat and ask questions, and then we'll take them at the end. All right, so for those of you who don't know, Eletive, we were founded here in Sweden by 2 engineers and 1 psychologist. And that's maybe a little bit of a unusual mix for a tech company, but for us is actually a big strength. So it means that our offering and the platform that we have is grounded in science and research and around human behavior, motivation, and culture. So at the same time, besides that, it's also a very smart setup. Everything should be easy to use and data-driven. We help thousands of companies all around the world, mainly in Europe, from over 50 countries, actually, to take their next step in their engagement journey. And it's, yeah, as I said, it's super inspiring. We help all kinds of companies. We usually say like from 50 to 50,000 people, company, organizations. Some are located in one country and have their employees there, while others are very international and have multiple offices or different types of employees across their organization. And this diversity is one of our strengths, because it means that all of our customers can also use us to benchmark themselves. Where are we compared to different or similar types of companies, similar type of industry or similar size of companies? And then you would get an idea of where to maybe focus the most. Where do we differ from similar companies? All right, so we talk to thousands of companies every year. What we see is that there's a big spread when it comes to where companies are in their engagement journey. Some are maybe even doing surveys, which is the first part to get the feedback from the employees. Some have come a little bit further, maybe doing traditional, what we say traditional yearly surveys or biannual surveys. Some are doing more pulse surveys, and some are using and doing that maybe more ad hoc, and some are using more advanced technology to do it, getting this feedback in real time. So I wanted to see if we can get the technology to work here, if we can get a quick poll around everyone that is listening. Where are you in your journey? And I think you have that in front of you now. So just pick the one that you feel resonates the most to you. And we have not doing any surveys. We have once per 24, 36, annual with ad hoc, and then pulse surveys. And we have about 50 votes. So let's see if we can get some more, 60. Yeah, really good. So we have, give or take 10%, not doing any surveys. We have, around 10% doing it biannual or every third year. Annual surveys around 25%, annual with some ad hoc 20%, and then around 30% with a more advanced approach. And that's very similar to our opinions here, or what we see. And of course, there's not a right or wrong here. You are at different stages because of different priorities, and that's totally fine. There's not one size that fits all, and we're not saying that everyone should use a more advanced approach. It depends on what you want to do and where you put your priorities. But I will still go into some benefits that come from moving in this direction, and that's what I'm going to talk a little bit more on. So if we start with an example of how it can look if you're working with a more, what we say, traditional, maybe an annual survey or a every biannual survey. Usually it can look a little bit like this. You're doing a big survey in March, and you have different things that you're measuring. In this example, there's relationship with a manager, relationship with colleagues, and feedback and communication, as an example. You do that in March, and you get pretty good results in feedback, but you get some results that you're not that happy with in terms of a relationship with managers. It takes a couple of weeks or months to get the results and analyze them, and then summer comes, and then you put in place some actions. You maybe do some training with your managers, or have some communication go out, or some workshops, many different ways that you can do it. And then you want to follow up and see, okay, what happened with this? Have we improved the relationship with manager? So you do a follow-up survey. We call that a basic pulse survey, asking these questions about relationship with manager. And you can see that it's improved, so that's good. The problem with this, though, is that we're living in a world that changes so fast. And what was the outcome or the input in March is not going to be the same in October. So already now you can see that the feedback has shifted a lot, and you're not capturing that in October. In fact, all through the summer, you're a little bit blind on what is happening. So what we see is that companies are moving now into a more frequent way of measuring in different ways, creating faster feedback loops, and making sure that this is a natural part of the organization, rather than doing big surveys that that is only there for a couple of months. Because that's when it becomes really relevant. You start to make it alive. It starts to make a real difference in the organization. And we're not the only ones who think that this will be where companies probably will evolve. This is from Gartner, but there's so many studies out there saying that, yeah, there is a big shift now, and this is even before AI, but AI is also adding to this because there are so many benefits where you can see by measuring and talking about this more frequently. So it's about creating a culture of feedback and creating the change from that. And that's where we come in at Eletive. So how do we do this? Because, I mean, it's not just sending that annual survey every week, right? Then people will not respond to them. But a key word for us is flexibility. So it's important to look at your organization and first of all, set up different survey schedules for different teams, countries, or segment. So each part of the organization has a relevant way of handling surveys at their pace. But at the core, how we have designed our system, we have 46 questions, and they are grouped into 11 key drivers, as we call them, different areas that affect engagement. And they're all developed based on research and proven methodology. So they cover a good picture of how engagement looks like in your company. Of course, you can add your own questions if you prefer that. And you can also complement with ENPS, which is a really good complement, and see the correlation between engagement and ENPS. But on top of this, we also use AI to automatically adapt the questions. And this is a really important part. So let me share a little bit how that works. So if you look in the top left corner in the dark blue, this is where you would have more frequent surveys going out. And as I said, 46 questions every week. It's just overwhelming. It's too much. But at the same time, we want to do it in a smart way. So if someone, for example, have a question that goes out in the first week and gives a lower score in an area, say that it's leadership or communication driver, the next survey that will go out will be adapted to that. So the system will automatically choose questions that are near the area where you gave a low score. And this will make, it will make the employee feel like the questions are more relevant to their point of view. And two, you will be able to catch differences faster because you will see in the data that, okay, in this team, we probably have an area here that we can do something. And the quicker you get this data, the quicker you can act on it. And that's what we want to do. So beyond doing what we call the engagement surveys, you can also do custom surveys and complement, and you can also do different life cycle surveys, forming that shape, the whole part of the employee's life cycle. So doing surveys for onboarding and also offboarding, super important. And also if there's key events in the company, such as maybe you have a diversity inclusion project, or maybe you want to do a survey when a part of your team or employee moves to a different team. So different important events, you can track that. All right, but as I said, engagement is so much more than just measuring. That's just the first part. The real key is what you do with the results. And maybe you've listened to other sessions here today. My colleague John talked about self-leadership, which is a super interesting topic. I want to also emphasize that that is a big part of how we see engagement here at Eletive. So traditionally, if we look to the left, and maybe you can relate to this as well, engagement has been seen as something that is, it's driven by leadership, and it's their responsibility together with HR and managers. We are the ones expecting to fix everything. This can create a lot of pressure on HR and the managers, and employees maybe sometimes feel like, can you please make me engaged? And that's not what we want to do. We don't want to have this us versus them dynamic. We want to break that pattern. So we've designed the platform to involve the employees and give them tools to influence, understand their own engagement, and then use self-leadership to take the first step and create actions there. So every employee can log in and get the view of their own results, and can see how they benchmark towards the organization, for instance. And then they can also get advice and some suggested actions that we nudge them a little bit to step forward and what they can do. So this means that engagement is no longer something that just comes from the top. It's actually something that everyone is a part of. This is also a big part of the communication to the employees and just overall how you view engagement in your company. As I mentioned earlier, it's a journey, right? And we're really proud of our customer experience team because they are the ones having meetings and talking to our customers and guiding them along the way. Should we move to more frequent surveys? How do we do with the results? How can we get this to work? And it's so much more than the technology that we offer. It's this collaboration and the partnership that makes the engagement become a success at the companies. And it needs to be a dialogue between HR, leaders, and your employees. That's where the key comes in. I also want to show a few screenshots just to make it maybe a little bit more tangible for those of you who haven't seen a platform like this. And of course, if anyone is interested to learn more, we're more than happy to have that dialogue. But at Eletive, there's a dashboard, as I mentioned, where an employee can go in and see their results over time. If you're a manager, you can see the team's results. And if you're an admin, or if you're in HR, you can probably see the whole company's trends. But there you can see the personal results and progress. You can also dive deeper into this and look at the numbers from different angles and really build that point of view of where the situation is. And then there's support to create actions and follow those along the way. So it's a combination of measuring, understanding, and acting. That's what we believe in. So here's an example of an advice that can be in a driver in work performance, for instance. We also are big believers in the combination of surveys and having more free text dialogues with employees. So we chose to name this conversations instead of just comments, because it's actually that the employees can give a comment both when they get a survey, but also in between surveys, because sometimes things happen along the way and we want to have that door open for them. The surveys or the comments from the employees are always anonymous, but when the manager or the HR replies, that will not be anonymous. And we think that that's a good balance. Here's a really smart way where AI is incorporated in the tool. And that is, for instance, if you're in a team with 5, maybe you're the only one who doesn't speak perfect English, and then you write a comment, and maybe you feel like it's quite obvious that I'm the one writing the comment because everyone else is native from Edinburgh, as I saw someone was from. Here, AI can actually go in and help to neutralize and clean up the language, but still keep it with the same type of content. So this is a really good way for us to make sure the employees feel safe, that their anonymity is there, and also get more feedback and more comments into the organization that you can help with. On the other hand, if you have a fairly large team, a large organization, you might get a lot of comments. So here AI also is really good at helping you to sort out the sentiment in these comments and understand the main trends that there are in the comments. So comments together with surveys, it's a really powerful way to get inspiration and feedback from the employees. Closely connected to engagement is also performance management. And this is more, you can say, hands-on situations where you would sit down with your team or with your individual, maybe talk about performance. It could be a one-on-one meeting, or it can be more of a yearly survey. We also have support for doing 360 reviews, which is an excellent tool for managers to understand their situation and their strengths and weaknesses or areas of development. And this means that everything is connected. So you have engagement where you can listen and get understanding on a higher level, and then you have hands-on performance management where you can actually make a difference. And I wanted to finish off by sharing a story. This is one customer that we're really proud of to work with. It's Drei, the telecom company. We work with their Austrian division. They're around 1,600 employees. And they came to us a couple of years ago looking for a partner to help drive engagement and also work in a bit more modern way. So we launched the project in 2024, and it was a big focus on internal communication and manager trainings. What is it that we want to achieve here? Why are we doing this? And why should people or employees at Drei, why should they answer the surveys, and what will happen afterwards? And we're really happy to say that we got a good response rate on the first surveys that went out, about 80%. And then more importantly, maybe, they have started to shift the culture. So they see a big trend now. Their employees are taking more ownership around engagement, and it's becoming something that's a natural part of their culture. They're also using 360s for follow-up with managers and helping managers to get more insights. So we're super proud and happy with this collaboration, and thank you for sharing some information there. So before we wrap up and look at if there's any questions, let me just summarize. I'm a big believer in one thing. When people feel heard and included, the company that they work for will do better. And that is the whole point around Eletive. Everything is connected here. So thank you all so much for listening and your engagement in the polls and in the questions and so on. And if you want to connect with me, you can find my contact details there. So feel free to reach out. But with that, let's look if there is any, let's see if there's any questions. Great. Maybe some sound issues, but no, good. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. Oh, I was in the wrong. Yeah, there was a good question here from Ulla about attrition rate. What factors go into that? So, yeah, that is a bit of a secret. We don't share all that information, but we're looking into the data that we have available in our platform, and then we give an assumption of what would what is the likelihood that we have attrition in this team going forward. It's not a exact science. It doesn't say that if it's 40%, then 40% of the people will leave. It's just something to follow and something to consider when looking at the trends. But the attrition rate is something that we believe in a lot, that we can measure even more going forward, and especially by connecting other data sources such as HRS data as well, and get that information. So it's a very exciting part of the platform. Got a question from Margareta. Are the surveys anonymous? And yes, they are. And this is a core belief that we have, that it's so important that the information to the employees are that they can answer in a good way what they really believe in. If the employees don't feel like their answers are anonymous, they will not answer truly, and then the data is impossible actually to manage. I can't say what is true for other platforms out there, but at Eletive there is no option for anyone in HR or a manager to get any individual results. You can only see the team results on an aggregated level, and that's really important part of the communication to the employees before. So yes, it is. I have here as well, how can managers work with surveys to get actual results? That's a good question, and maybe there's not one answer for all here. This is something our customer success team talks daily with our customers with. But I think the one thing I would maybe start with is making sure that the why is communicated in a good way to all the teams. It can be both from HR, but also that each team member or manager actually sits down with their team and shares their belief in engagement and how important it is to to get these answers in. That's the first step. Then maybe having a talk about ownership of engagement. Where does that come from? How do we actually make it into a positive engagement into our team? That would be maybe the next step. And then finally, what we have seen is that companies that are very good at highlighting to their employees the initiatives that they have done based on the feedback that they have gotten, usually that creates a really good loop in the organization. So when you do an initiative that is based on feedback that you have gotten, make sure to share that in your monthly meetings or in your weekly meetings, whatever you have, so that the employees feel like, okay, someone here gave feedback and that actually made a difference. That's a spiral that we want to get going. Okay. Let's see if we have some more. If you have a cohort of line managers who are unused to this level of autonomy and accountability, how do you onboard them to platform change in expectations? That's a very good question. And I think that maybe this one could be better answered in a smaller forum for your specific company, because it could be different ways depending on where you are in your maturity. But manager training is a vital part of our offering. So the technology, connecting the data, getting a service out, that's just one step. As you wrote here as well, the accountability for each team and getting these results, and then what are they supposed to do with this? That's a very important part of how we set up a project. So this can differ a little bit depending on your size of the company, where you're located, and the culture in your company. So I can't give a one answer for all there, but we'll be happy to take a chat with you afterwards. The person who wrote this, I can't see your name. What do you do with the results as actions at I'm not sure if I understand the question there, Hannah. But I can share one other story. And this is, I think, an interesting one. It's a large company in Sweden that handles car repair. And what was interesting with them is that they could, since they had many different shops where you would go in and you would repair your car. And what they did was the correlation analysis between how the engagement results were for that specific auto repair shop, and actually how much revenue that shop made. So how successful were they just looking at the finance numbers. And they could see that there was a clear correlation between the engagement and the outcome of that individual shop. So what they did was try to allocate which drivers. As I mentioned, we have 11 groups or 11 drivers of different areas. And for them, it was communication. That was the one thing that stood out, that the more engaged, probably they had a higher score in the communication, and that led to better financial impact as well. So they rolled out a lot of projects around this and are now working to increase that part of the journey for them. For other companies, it can be different drivers, so it's not the same for everyone. But I think that that's a really nice story. So Hannah from CGI would be happy to share more details around that later if you want to. All right. I think that was it. Thank you so much for all the great questions. And thank you so much for listening to my session and for joining the full day as well. So feel free to reach out if you have any more questions. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.